Hello again, I am Blunty. A little over a week ago, I put up a video which was WoW Classic, an absolute beginner's point of view, I think I called it, or something to that effect. Point is, if you haven't seen that video yet, it might be worth watching for. This one give you a little extra context about my WoW journey and opinion and how I'm looking at the launch of WoW Classic and things. But long story short, I never played WoW back in the day because of various reasons. But I am interested in playing WoW Classic now because as a gamer, I've changed and I'm more interested in it now than I was then. And I'm less interested in current WoW because that has, according to what I've heard from players, it's less about community and it's you know, they've kind of ruined it. Depending on who you ask, for various reasons, it's been ruined. That's why Classic is a thing. That's why the World of Warcraft fandom has been so hungry for WoW Classic and why they started up their own sort of pirated vanilla servers that kind of forced Blizzard into releasing WoW Classic, a version of World of Warcraft as it stood back in the day, as it were. Since I made that video, I have since actually tried current WoW. Primarily, it was a way to familiarize myself with the user interface and the general sort of movement controls and stuff like that. So when WoW Classic rolled around, I wasn't starting from absolute scratch. And basically, I was so sort of invested with the idea of WoW Classic by that point. I kept thinking about WoW. I thought, well, I just have to try it. I just have to play it. So I, you know, whatever reason was, I gave WoW retail, as it stands, a go. Unbeknownst to me at the time when I decided to try WoW Classic, they were about to announce a free-for-all beta stress test kind of thing. Now, the existing WoW Classic beta as it stands is invite only. Basically, they just hand-picked a bunch of players and people and streamers and things like that to sort of help test it out and give them feedback and things like that. But every now and again, they've been doing these things called stress tests, where it's just open for any WoW subscriber. So I did actually get to try WoW Classic before launch after all. And what all that means is, as a WoW newbie who has now very recently tried back-to-back, basically, literally back-to-back, WoW as it stands in retail from a beginner's point of view from level 1 from day 1, and WoW Classic during the stress test from level 1 from day 1. So I have a relatively unique perspective amongst the majority of people who are playing one or both or either of these games. And the question I've been asked more than anything else since the stress test, I should be clear about that, since the stress test closed off, we had 48 hours worth of access and then it got taken away. Which one did I like more? Which one am I most interested in playing? What is my opinion as a newbie with fresh experiences of day 1, level 1 of both versions of this game's existence? And it's not an easy question to answer because I like both for very different reasons. Retail WoW, as it stands today, BFA, I quite enjoyed just as a sort of mindless grind experience that I could happily just poke away at while doing other things, answering emails or watching another stream or TV series or, you know, almost an idle game. You just wander around, you follow the quest markers, you do the thing, you collect the bits, you take them back, and you just run back and forth doing things and sort of slowly leveling up, well, not even slowly, but leveling up your character and getting a few bits of gear here and there and getting some extra bag space and exploring the cities and you know, it's fun. It's a little exploratory, sandboxy RPG experience. Classic WoW requires a lot more attention. I don't know if you could play that as casually as retail WoW. Certainly not as beginner. You're a lot more fragile. You have a lot less HP in your bar from a start. The enemies are more aggressive. They spot you from further away. They see through your stealth. I played a human rogue in both instances. They see through your stealth much easier and faster in Classic WoW. And overall, you feel a lot more fragile. You feel like you're in danger a lot more. And all the conveniences that would help sort of fast track your retail experience, like quest markers. You don't really pay attention to what you're doing. You don't even have to read the quest text. You just get a quest from a person with a thing above their head. You click OK. And then you just follow the yellow marker on your map to where that quest is happening. Then you go, oh, what's the quest need me to do? Oh, collect 5 boar hides, or go see this person, or deliver this thing. Okay, I'll do that. I'll just follow the quest marker to that thing and do the thing it wants me to do and then go back. Can't do that in Classic. There are no quest markers at all. There's not even a marker on the map for people who give you quests. You have to go and find them. And they might be inside a house you would otherwise walk past. They might be upstairs in the house. You have to explore, go looking for these opportunities, for these quests, for these things to do. And once you get those things, there's no little yellow marker to show you where to go. You have to read the text. You go, well, okay, this, we need to collect these from these creatures that live sort of east-west, southwest, east-west of the town. South of the town. So you have to read the thing, and you look at the map and you go, okay, well, I'm here. This, so-and-so's farm is over here. They said it was west of that near the river, so I have to go down there. It's probably near that fork in the river because it's an aquatic monster we're after. And, you think through these things a lot more carefully, and it's a lot more involving. It's a proper immersive experience. It is it's a kind of RPG experience you just don't get anymore with all the modern conveniences for casual gamers. And WoW Classic is certainly not for everybody, although I think casuals can enjoy it. I class myself as a casual gamer as far as WoW goes, at least at this point. The WoW crack hasn't quite hit me yet, although I'm thinking about the game quite a lot. I'm not playing it all day, every day at this stage yet. But the point is, the immersion is so much better in Classic WoW. You feel like you're part of the world. You have to go explore the world. You learn where places are in relation to each other. You learn the people in those towns and what they're about and what they're doing. And because you have to read the quest text, you learn these little stories, these little mini stories and character interactions and relationships and all this kind of stuff. You feel like you're part of that world, not this untouchable hero stomping through the land following the yellow brick road to your next quest marker. And then you stomp on whatever's there and then you piss off. In both my experiences, at least partially, I had someone along to help me out, a more experienced player, both for Classic and for retail when we were streaming. We had, people from the chat room join me and have some fun. And the social experience in Classic is certainly a lot more fun. When we were playing retail, it was just me and the peeps from chat just stomping about, doing things and having a blast. And it was fun, current WoW is fun. But when it came to Classic, I had to team up. Otherwise, I wasn't going to get anything done because everything's so much harder and tougher. And so I had to team up with someone from chat, and they helped me. They were higher level than me by the time they joined me on near the end of that experience. And when we were doing our own quests, there were two of us just going around following the quests, and this was sort of later in the experience, the second day and whatnot, when we're doing sort of harder stuff. We came across another character who was just sort of sitting on a hill, and I was like, well, is he AFK just sitting there? Didn't even occur to me at first that they were sitting there hoping for an invite. Because they were alone, they can't do this quest alone because it's too tough. It's too hard. There are too many hard-hitting enemies too close together. They would gank them and just... And it only occurred to me, because they invited me. And I was like, well, no, I'm already doing a thing. I don't want the invite. So I denied the invite. And then when I finally realized what was going on, I sent them an invite. Said, hey, invited them. And they go, oh, now you want to invite us? I'm sorry, I'm a newbie. I didn't realize what was going on. But, let's do this thing together. And so I completed my quest. My section, I gathered all the bits and pieces, whatever I needed for that quest. And so I wrote them a message and think, okay, well, I've got what I needed. What else do you need? And so then we focused on what they needed to complete their portion of the quest, the last few things that they need to do. And we got that done really efficiently. And, with three of us, we stomped through it. And, once everyone got what they needed from the quest, they said thank you and trotted on their way off into the world again. And the similar thing happened later in the game on a different kind of quest where we had to go find a courier guy, whatever it was. And so we, teamed up with a rando on that so we could all complete the quest at the same time, make it nice and easy on ourselves, and then we parted ways again. That experience never, ever happened to me in my sort of 35-ish hours of retail WoW yet. Aside from the joining a group with the people from my Twitch stream, just so we could hang around together and they could help me out and things, I never once felt the need to, or was invited to, or was asked about, or even saw an opportunity to group up with randos to get something done. Because you don't need to. You just don't. So nobody asks, and you don't need to ask anybody else. You might come across a player, and you walk past them on the road. You don't even say hello. Just, it might as well be playing a single-player game. Granted, I haven't done any of the stuff where you do still need to team up, like the dungeons and the raids and things like that. I haven't got to any of that content yet. Basically, I don't want to spoil too much of that content. I want to sort of come into that raw and fresh and get the sort of full experience out of it, know what I mean? But yeah, when it comes down to comparing these two versions of WoW, I mean, I've heard it said by, experienced players, people who played back in the day and been playing ever since, or maybe they went back and forth and dropped in and for a few months every time there was a new update came out, then they dropped their subscription and went away and did other things. I hear it all the time in videos like this, where they're comparing the two versions from experienced players' point of view, and they say, oh, it's a different game. It's a completely different game. And I thought it was hyperbole. I thought it was rose-colored glasses. I thought it was nostalgia. It is a completely different game. It looks quite similar, because they're using the new game engine to sort of recreate the old one. It looks quite similar, and the beginning quests are quite similar. You're in the same area. You're doing a similar kind of quest. You have to kill a bunch of different scrubby creatures, but the point is the train of motion is basically the same to get you up and running. It's a lot slower in Classic. You level up slower. You're a lot weaker. You don't get as much good gear as quickly, all that kind of stuff. But at the surface level, it seems like the same game. But as soon as you're more than 3 or 4 hours deep, they are very different games. Incredibly so. Remarkably so. So when it comes to saying which one is best, depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for an MMO that you don't really have to play like an MMO, the current retail WoW is that, at least until you get to the end game content. But there's a lot you can do just single player, just mindlessly grind. And it is fun. It's a lot faster paced. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more straightforward. There's a lot more stuff to help you out, so you can sink into it a lot easier. You don't have to do as much, effort, and you just wander around. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a bit of fun, and do this and stomp on that. And it's a genuinely good game. It feels mechanically good. It's a nice, fairly light RPG experience. Classic WoW, much deeper, much more complex, much more involved, much more saturating RPG experience, a proper, full-fat RPG feeling experience where you are literally part of the world, whether or not you're doing proper role-playing or not, whether or not you're playing your character, whether or not you have a proper World of Warcrafty name or you're jumping around calling yourself Bobby Smokes a Lot 420 XX, it's still a much more proper RPG experience because you have to be part of the world. You have to know and understand and be part of that world as you're doing your thing. Otherwise, you're not going to get crap done. And you have to interact with other people, like we were talking about before. You can't do anything unless you at least occasionally team up with randos and or friends, or randos that become friends because you keep running across them and helping each other out. And that's the whole building of relationships things that you used to hear about with WoW in the old days. People would meet other people through WoW, and then they would be friends for years. That's possibly going to happen again. Likely. It's a very different world we live in now with all kinds of social media and stuff, so I don't know whether there's as much need for that. Are people going to go looking for that in a game like WoW? Because that was one of much more limited options back in the day to meet like-minded people. Oh, you play WoW? I play WoW. We met in WoW, of course. I know you play it. We can be friends and we talk about WoW, and from there we'll see if we have anything else in common. Maybe we become friends. You don't need that as much these days because we have so many different ways to interact with people and find people we may or may not have common interests with, like YouTube, for example. So yeah, very different games. Choosing between them, I don't know. I'm certainly going to be playing less retail until Classic launches because a lot of what retail has now spoiled me quite hard when I went to Classic. I picked up bad habits, lazy habits, so I might restrict my retail gameplay until Classic launches. Give Classic a real good go. If it is too much of a time sink, or I get bored with it, or I get fed up with it, or I, whatever, if it doesn't latch me as much as I think it might, then I'll go back to retail WoW and give that another go and see if that simpler, more streamlined experience catches me. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Either way, I think I'm going to continue forward with the idea of retail WoW being the backup plan, Classic WoW being the one I'm hoping I can sink into good and proper for an RPG experience. But there's a lot of stuff worth playing at the moment too, so we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to answer that question. A long-winded answer, I know. Long waffly video to answer a simple question. Which one did you like best? Classic WoW or retail WoW? But there you are. I hope this has been interesting and or informative to you newbies out there wondering if you should give it a go. Definitely, I think. To experienced WoW players wondering what a newbie's perspective of, without any nostalgia for the way things used to be, judging the way things used to be in the context of how things are now, today, personally, as a gamer and as someone who has tried retail WoW for approximately the same amount of time. I got about 30 hours of retail WoW, and I got about 20, 22 hours, I think, gameplay time in the stress test over the couple of days. Yeah, there it sits. Thank you for watching. I am Blunty, and we'll catch you next time.